Hello there. We are
Hello there.
journeying back down the Thai West Road with
Yes,
the Innkeepers today. And I mentioned before we hit record that this will be our last journey with Thai West for a little while. We are going to put him to bed after this one.
that's okay.
Came out in 2011, you said?
Yeah,
So,
2011.
Gene, where are you at with the
The
Innkeepers?
Innkeepers, Ty West. Yeah, and watching this movie, the line comes to play for me is that all great movies, the movies that you love and know that come to and it doesn't even have to be horror, it could be romantic comedy, anything. Great movies have great scenes. And the better movies have a lot of great scenes, And so that's a binding characteristic of all great cinema. I mean, just think of it right now. I mean, just think of like movies that we like in our thing, our little show, like Blair Witch Project, for example. What scenes just pop up? Like they're running through the old abandoned house. There are the bloody hands on the wall. They're in the tent. These things just pop up right away because they you remember them. And like in The Ring, there are lots of scenes that pop up with that. Even in the opening sequence, the two teens are in the house. It just happens. The Exorcist. I mean, we all know the scenes. However, and I think The Innkeepers falls flat on that level. It's grouped into chapters. Chapter one is called The Long Weekend. It's set in an old hotel. I guess it just looks like New Englandish area, whatever. But yeah, the hotel is Oh, I had the name of it. I just wrote it down, but I can't find it in my notes. Whatever. In a way, it kind of doesn't matter. But the hotel is closing, and so we're focused on two workers there, Claire and Luke. And like the movie it progresses in its story, and there are some parts of the movie where kind of like you gotta get a little scared, like the hair rises in the back of your head, like that. But the movie's just lacking in those scenes that make it truly great, or just even a good movie. It's just the movie just kind of falls flat, because some movies, and Roger, we've talked about this, is that you watch them and then you kind of walking out to your car after the movie's over, you can't even remember what you just saw.
Every Harry Potter movie.
Well, I wouldn't go that bad. Although there is one Harry Potter movie that fits that. I can't even remember the name of it, which fits in. Is that, and this in a way, this movie kind of falls into that category. It's just like if I saw this in the movie theater, I'd be walking to my car. It's like, what scenes really stand out? And yeah, we like Ty West. Again, the trilogies. The movie last week. The
House of the
the
Devil.
House of the Devil. Thank you. Yeah, House of the Devil. Even that starts slow, but it's got some decent scenes. But this one, it just seems to be kind of lacking in that area. So I don't know. It didn't really grab me. Yeah.
Okay. I actually like this movie quite a bit.
No, good, good. I
But
like it when we have with
I,
different opinions.
well, but I like it because of the meandering nature of the movie.
It
A
does.
little bit of backstory on how this movie came about, which I kind of teased last week. And did you discover in your research on this movie what I was talking about?
No, go ahead.
So
Enlighten us.
when Ty West and his crew were doing The House of the Devil, which is the movie we did last week, they were staying at that hotel.
No way.
And so
I
the
love
people
it.
at the hotel were
Love
telling
it.
him that, oh, by the way, this hotel is haunted. Just wanted to let you guys know that.
Right. Because of that story, because of the
No,
woman.
it has nothing to do with any of that.
Oh,
But
Madeline O'Malley.
and so then they supposedly started experiencing weird things happening in that hotel. So
Experiencing.
that's where the story came to light and the film was made. So I kind of appreciate it on that level. And I do like the characters. We always talk about characters kind of make movies,
Yep, they
and I
do. They do.
certainly like the interplay between the two main characters here. It was bizarre to see Kelly McGillis show up in this movie as this medium. I had not seen her
In
since
forever.
the 80s, maybe. So that was interesting. But this movie reminded me a lot of a Disney attempt at horror like Watcher in the Woods or Something Wicked This Way Comes, where it just kind of meanders along and nothing's ever going to get too scary. And when it
Yeah.
gets a little scary, it kind of pulls a little back so it's not ever too over the top. So
Right. Right.
I do
I
believe
agree.
an entry level horror movie, this is definitely it. I'm assuming it was probably rated PG 13,
I
if
don't know. I didn't
anything.
look.
And it maybe could have got away with a PG because I don't even remember if there's any foul language in this movie. Um, but it's got a cool setting. The hotel is cool.
Great hotel.
I like how they begin the film with still photos of the progression over time of this hotel, what it looked like when it was built, and so on. So it sets a nice tone for the film. The performances of both leads is really good,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's tonally kind of weird as far as a horror movie goes because it's kind of this fun little light thing going on, and
Right.
then they
Right.
start getting into the horror. There is one scene that I really did enjoy a lot. There's actually two scenes I really enjoyed. One is when they are doing, because of course every haunted house movie you always have to have the headphones and the wandering around with the microphone to try to pick up
Yeah, the
ghostly things.
paranormal. Yeah, the guy Luke he has the setup and is
Uh,
trying to do an investigation. Yeah,
Right. And so she's wandering around and she hears this piano playing. And of course,
right.
it's basically an abandoned hotel. But I loved the scene where she takes her headphone off and she can't hear it anymore. It's only through the whole, specialized equipment that she can hear it.
Right.
That was pretty cool. And then, of course, the ending sequence is also pretty cool as far as it ratchets up the horror as much as it can and still kind of being this light horror film, which was reminiscent of kind of how House of the Devil played out, where it kind of is going along at this tone here, and then suddenly it really ratchets it up for the last 5 minutes of the film.
Right. Right.
So I don't hate this movie. I do think it's a good entry point for someone who's just not into horror because it's very light. Some of the drawbacks of this film, it's way too long. They have completely wasted scenes, none better illustrated than, hey, I'm going to go get a cup of coffee and have a conversation with the coffee barista lady.
Yeah,
That was
in a way
unnecessary.
that whole chapter one, the long weekend. What's up with that? Right, and they had scenes where there's like this, like you said, like multiple scenes of this where there's like fun music playing. It's like that doesn't act to build the tension or to move the plot.
Yeah, you could have chopped it down
Chopped
to
it.
90 minutes for sure. This thing's like an hour 45 right
Right.
now. And my problem with a longer movie like this is it does things like, yep, here's a completely unnecessary scene. You're introduced to a coffee barista. It's a 90-second scene that has no bearing on anything else on any level with the movie at all. It's just like this thing that just happens. And it doesn't make any sense to do that, especially when everything else about this movie is pretty tight. It's two main characters in this hotel doing their little exploration to try to figure out what's going on here. And so you just don't need a lot of that stuff. So was I looking at how much time is left in this thing? Yes, I was. But I'm definitely recommending it. Not at my highest level. This is not a Texas Chainsaw Massacre or anything like that. But
Right, and
it's
do you
okay.
remember scenes from that movie?
No, of course, yes. I could practically recite the whole thing.
Well, you've seen it like 50 times.
At least, yes. But I think as far as haunted house movies, this is kind of your generic one that's, it's not going to ruin your day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's as movie reviewers, I think would I watch it? Would I recommend it? I can't really recommend because is it a worthwhile use of time? I don't know. It's like something that kind of, I think it's more worthwhile is something that kind of has meat to it that kind of sticks with you. I think that's the characteristic of good horror. It just like sticks with you, makes you feel uncomfortable. And in this movie, it just just doesn't do that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything Gene said there. It is horror light for sure.
Yeah.
But I again enjoyed the characters, liked the setting. There's enough stuff going on that it's okay. It's kind of interesting. And so I'm not, again, it is not Evil Dead or Reanimator or anything like that. But
Right.
a rainy Sunday where you're just scrolling around madly looking to find something to watch to pass some time, The Innkeepers is fine. Ty West does a good, solid job with camera work and
Oh
setups
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
direction and
And then the
stuff.
music, I think the audio is really good.
Yep,
Yeah.
agreed. And so, you could do a lot worse than this
Yes, you
movie.
could do a lot.
And so
House of a Thousand Corpses for
oh
me.
no, House of a Thousand Corpses is up here. It's way
No,
better than
no,
Innkeepers.
no.
But as far as Ty West filmography goes, I haven't seen all of it, of course, but
Right.
out of all the movies, the 5 movies we've done of his now, this is the lowest one for sure. I would much recommend House of the Devil or X, Pearl, Maxine over
Right.
over this one.
Right. I totally agree. I totally agree. And I was watching this is just thinking of ways that how the movie could be better. It's just that, like in some of those movies like, that are better, that they kind of leave clues for you, more apparent clues, and they kind of tell the backstory as you're going. And so it kind of purposely, in a more purposeful, deliberate way, breeds that, it fosters that tension that we're all really looking for in a horror movie. And kind of this movie just kind of there's a slight attempts. Yeah,
Well, I think
it's
there's
kind of not there.
there's a little bit underneath this movie that maybe we should talk about. Kelly McGillis plays this aging actress who has now decided she's a psychic,
Right,
and she's one of 2 guests that are in this hotel, and she's there for some psychic convention, right?
right,
And so Claire gets hooked up with this lady, and at one point they kind of do this. I'm going to call it a seance. It's not a seance. She's got her little gemstone and she's doing all this. I'm communicating with the dead. And
right.
and so Claire is saying, well, is it this woman who died in the hotel years ago? And Kelly McGillis is like, no, it isn't. There's 3 of them. And I love the fact that how the movie ends up is, what do you end up with? There's 3 ghosts there. And then at the end, there's a nice dialogue sequence with Kelly McGillis and the surviving person, Luke.
Luke, yeah,
And he's like, why didn't you do something to save her? Because you knew this. And she says, there was nothing I could do to save her.
yeah. There was nothing anyone could do.
Because
Yeah,
earlier she had set up that her psychic power is a little different in that she sees things, but they're in a different order than what they really happen. So when she was saying there's 3 of them, it was already, no matter what happens, I know you're going to be one of those
yeah,
3.
yeah, yeah.
And so I kind of like that, but you don't really catch that until thinking about the movie when it's over. So there is this
Right.
slight little cool thing happening there, but it's almost impossible to understand that that's what's happening until after the movie's over.
Yeah, yeah. I wish that during that scene when they're having their seance, I thought that Kelly McGinnis was going to hypnotize Claire, maybe do something nefarious there. Like, I was kind of hoping that the movie would get down that much more darker kind of, and Kelly McGinnis, the character, would be the spark of that, but it just didn't go that way.
Right. This is definitely horror light. It has a lot of opportunities to really ratchet up some significant horror, and it's
Yeah,
not.
they kind
it's
of,
not doing that.
I think purposely they skip on those opportunities. For whatever reason, Ty West has decided not to put the pedal to the metal on this thing. He's
No,
kind of
agreed.
like, it's trolling along in second gear, and I guess second gear was sufficient.
Right. No, and that's why I compared it to like some Disney attempts at horror where it's scary, but it's not scary, right? It's never
Yeah.
going to get there for you. And so that's kind of the bottom line with this movie.
Yeah, I agree.
Gene, anything final to say?
No, I think that kind of does it.
Yeah.
It's good to see Kelly McGinnis. I had no idea. She was the hottest thing in Hollywood, and in the 80s, Top Gun, and then The Witness, and women. Yeah, and then when she was like an Amish woman. Yeah, and
Harrison
the accused,
Ford, yeah.
accused with Jodie Foster. She was, and then she just kind of like disappeared.
Yeah.
So, but you never know. Actresses, actors, they're just people too.
Yeah,
And
do
so
other
we'll all go
things.
through stuff. Maybe she just decided to pursue something else. But,
Apparently.
more
So-
power to her. But yeah, it was good to see her though.
So, Gene, last week we name dropped Race with the Devil. And
Yes,
what
because
do you
we were
think
watching
about
House of the Devil. It just reminded me of those movies where kind of like there's some kind of entity, but everyone knows about it except for the poor little sap who kind of just tumbles into into that realm, and so. Yeah, and so I as a kid I watched Race with the Devil, Peter Fonda, because that movie is perfect.
Yeah.
It totally falls into that category. So
Well,
you're hinting
well,
maybe we review this
I'm
thing?
thinking we're going to go ahead and go back to 1975, I think it is.
Okay.
Maybe 73. I can't remember when that thing came out. Race with the Devil next week. And of course,
Race with the Devil. All right. Well, there you go.
Gene will get a much greater understanding of Warren Oates because he keeps mentioning Peter Fonda, but Warren Oates is also in Race with the Devil. So
what about maybe we should do like Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry,
well,
maybe down the road we could get all Peter Fonda-ish.
Well, we would have to change the format of our show for Dirty Mary Crazy.
Yeah, because it's not horror on any level.
No, Race with the Devil we can justify.
Okay, Race with the Devil. All right.
So
preview it, watch it. Race with the Devil. I think. It's talking about scenes. Is that movie's got scenes? Because I watched it as a kid. I remember the scenes right now.
Yeah, and I have a special surprise next week when we do Race
really?
with the Devil. So I'll
better be scary.
I'll bring that in for you.
Fantastic. Race with the Devil. Peter
Anyway, that's kind of the bottom line on Innkeepers. Horror light. If you've got nothing better to do, it's okay to hit play. You can always hit stop if you don't like it. But we'll catch you next week with Race with the Devil.
Race with the Devil.
Bye-bye.
Bye.